if you stumbled across this video, welcome. But one thing I do want to do is I want to open up with the question. Have you ever found yourself dumbing yourself down just to appeal to people or to be, more cool? Well, we're going to touch on that in today's video. Today we're going to be, doing a little commentary on why modern society celebrates stupidity and why intelligence is overall dying. So, let's buckle up. This one's going to be a ride.
You ever get that feeling that the U.S. isn't just getting dumber, it's actually working on it? Like it's a group project, and everyone's bringing Cheetos, but no one brought a damn pen?
Yeah.
We're not just slipping into stupidity like it's a hot tub. We're cannonballing into it. We're throwing parades for it. We're giving it TV deals, endorsement contracts, and a podcast where it talks about its healing journey. And it's not your imagination. Our society really is getting dumber. And not the good kind of dumb, or the fun kind of dumb. Like laughing at videos of cats slapboxing. The bad kind. The kind where we seem to be daring each other to trip over the same rock 5,000 times and then sue the rock for emotional damages.
If that's not the most American thing I've fucking heard today, holy shit.
And just for the record, I think we're all guilty of this to some degree. And if you even hint that maybe thinking is good, you're immediately labeled an elitist. Like you just walked into a bowling alley wearing a monocle, quoting Kierkegaard. Alright, so Isaac Asimov, the famous author and biochemist, who, by the way, was smart enough to predict this dumpster fire decades ago, nailed it when he said the following. Anti-intellectualism has been a constant thread winding its way through our political and cultural life, nurtured by the false notion that democracy means that my ignorance is just as good as your knowledge. Let that sink in for a moment. Now, he wrote this like 40 years ago. America used to at least pretend to value intelligence. Scientists were admired. Writers were respected because people actually read books. And the guy who invented sliced bread was a national hero. And now, if you use words with more than 3 syllables, somebody accuses you of word salad. We used to aspire upward, and now we aspire sideways toward whoever talks the loudest and fastest while knowing the least.
Pretty much, man, I see where he's getting at. So, really, in the year 2025, let's be real, back when we were younger, 10, 15 years ago, when we envisioned 2025, we would think of innovation, all this new technology, the whole world would be completely different in, a positive way just due to technological innovation and, people praising intelligence and moving in an intelligent way as an overall conglomerate of society. But now, really, we're just in a stage of mass confusion, mass, now it's like we're in a time where gender pronouns are like we're debating that shit. We're doing gender wars. We're doing just feminism and this the toxicity of feminism and fucking no one literally aspiring to get married or have kids, and everyone pretty much we just turned into a nihilistic fucking society. Like, what's the point of anything? Nothing matters. Everything's already been invented. So we just have come to a standstill in the production of innovation of ideas, in the production of babies, in the production of lasting relationships. We're just in a fucking... I just can't really describe what this time is. It's so weird. I just can't describe it, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way. Like, there's no way to describe the time that we're in. It is just like a purgatory, if you say. I really view this life as a whole purgatory, but it's like a purgatory of progress. That's like the best way I could put it. Like where we're at. We're in a purgatory of progress.
And don't kid yourself. This isn't some natural entropy of society. It's a conscious choice. We like stupid. It's just easier. It doesn't make you feel bad about scrolling through 19 hours of YouTube videos titled, "Watch this dog say bro."
Yeah, no, that shit would make me feel terrible. I guess everyone's not built the same way, but no. That shit, no. And if most people, like, if it's really easier to be stupid, like, man, I don't think that's true, man. It's not easier to be stupid, especially nowadays, man. It's not easier to be stupid because nowadays, if anything, you can't do a traditional life path. You actually have to move smarter than generations before. So I don't think that at all.
And look, I get it. I waste time on some of this stuff too, especially when it comes to cats and dogs, but I digress. And meanwhile, critical thinking, you know, the thing that separates us from barn animals, no offense to barn animals, it gets treated like a personal attack. And God forbid you ask a question that doesn't fit neatly on a bumper sticker. And next thing you know, you're called a hater, or worse, negative vibes, because toxic positivity is also part of this problem. And now we're here, in a world where believing something loudly is more important than being quiet correctly. Where doing your own research means spending 2 hours on Reddit and suddenly knowing more than a virologist who spent 12 years studying infectious diseases. Knowledge isn't just devalued here. It's actively mocked. It's considered suspicious. Is someone saying, "You think you're better than me?" when they're presented with irrefutable evidence on a particular topic? Like, if you know too much, you must be part of some secret cabal. So welcome to the land of the free and the home of the brave. If by brave you mean too stubborn to Google it. All right, so stupidity didn't just wander into America like a drunk at a wedding and start slow dancing with grandma. No, we invited it in. We pulled out a chair.
I'm just making sure you guys are still awake.
Poured it a drink, and let it drive the bus. It started slow. At some point, maybe right after World War II, the US of A decided that comfort was more important than curiosity. We wanted life to be easy, and thinking is hard.
Yeah, I mean, that's really where, I mean, that's some culmination of pretty much really the past 50, 60, 70 some odd years. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, man. Like, creating technology that ultimately makes life as a human on this earth easier. I don't think that's a bad thing, but we are at a tipping point where this modern life really is designed to break you with its comforts and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's be real, man. Men aren't the same men. Like, my generation, we're not the same as our fathers' generations, man. Let's just keep it a buck 50. We ain't built the same like they were. You know what I'm saying? And it can go back and back and back. You know, like, we getting soft over time, more effeminate. But the thing is, though, it's really a lot of things that society is actually pushing on us that, can you really blame the state of where we're at? Like, look, at the end of the day, man, like, we're just in a fucking massive psyop, like a massive experiment, constantly being ran tests on with societal experience. Since most people are brainless fucking morons, which is what why stupidity is so appreciated nowadays and why intelligence is so undervalued. That the powers hereof don't want smart people as their population. They want fucking dumbasses because a dumbass is easy to control. Like, it's that simple. I know I'm kind of just rambling and ranting. So is this guy, but I'm just going off the cuff. Hopefully it's making sense.
We filled them with TV dinners, plastic smiles, and educational systems designed to create compliant workers, not curious thinkers. Questioning anything became un-American. You didn't want kids to be philosophers. You wanted them to grow up, punch a clock, and buy a Buick.
Yep.
And then came cable news, where complex issues were considered, well, condensed into 30-second sound bites by men wearing obnoxious ties. And once reality TV hit, it was game over. Stupidity wasn't just tolerated, it became America's favorite distraction.
Damn, yeah, that landed. Okay, I see.
We laughed it off.
I see.
We told ourselves, it's just entertainment. While chugging diet soda and watching 6 hours of strangers throwing chairs at each other over baby daddies. I mean,
let's be real. Like, what is the target demographic of people really watching this shit? I'll just let you take a guess.
I don't know about you, but Jerry Springer was pretty much inescapable in the 90s. Anyways, being smart started to become seen as being elite. And being educated meant you were somehow out of touch. And if you were too smart...
Like, who the fuck thinks like this? Do people really think like this, bro? Like, this is fucking insane. Like, it's insane. But the thing is like, I do believe there's people out there, and more than we would even like to, admit, that really think this way, which is...
Then you were probably planning something nefarious. you were somehow dangerous. Smart used to be attractive, and then it got you labeled as distrustful.
A word?
Okay, so then came the internet and everything changed. Where all information was instantly available and therefore instantly disposable. Because when everything is at your fingertips, nothing really matters anymore. You can just Google the answers, or better yet, just decide your feelings are the answer regardless of the facts. And meanwhile, the foundation's rotted out. We gutted public education and turned libraries into Instagram museums. We stopped teaching kids how to think and started teaching them how to pass multiple choice tests written by a guy who
Well, I mean, wasn't it always like this though? Like,
desk.
you know, I'm pretty sure the school system hasn't changed in like 100 years.
We weaponized stupidity. The media basically realized there's no faster way to grab eyeballs than to shove a camera in front of the loudest, wrongest, sweatiest idiot they could find and call it breaking news.
Fucking news, that's a whole nother fucking thing. I don't watch that bullshit.
I think social media was really the final bullet with all this. We didn't just lower the bar, we buried it. We dug a hole, threw the bar in, pissed on it, and handed out trophies to whoever could trip over it the most dramatically. Stupidity is like fast food for the brain. It tastes good, it goes down easy, but eventually it's going to kill you. So, today, stupidity isn't something you're embarrassed about. It's something you shout about on social media in all caps. It's marketed, it's branded. I mean, you can walk into a Target right now and buy a mug that says, "I'm not arguing, I'm just explaining why I'm right." And the person buying it can't even spell the word argument.
That's wild.
Being proud of being uninformed is like being proud that you failed to put on pants this morning. Except here, we throw your parade and let you give a TED Talk about your journey. You know, in today's America, ignorance isn't just tolerated.
Just making sure you're still up.
It's glorified. It's wrapped in a flag, handed a Bud Light, and shoved onto a TikTok feed. So, somewhere along the line, America confused freedom with freedom from consequences, accountability. I mean, you're free to believe you can stare at the sun if you really believe hard enough. But the sun doesn't give a shit about your freedom. You know, it'll fry your retinas just the same. Reality doesn't negotiate. You know, we live in a world where refusing to read the manual somehow makes you more trustworthy. Where a guy in a basement, high on Monster energy drinks, thinks he knows more about epidemiology than people who've been studying viruses since you were still eating crayons.
I can't really attest to this because I don't watch no content on epidemiology and guys in their basements trying to pretend to be more knowledgeable than experts, so I can't really speak on this. But I understand the example he's getting at. And that's really pretty much, man, conventional stuff's out the window, man. And I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing. Pretty much what he's saying is that you can kind of come on here, and if you sound good, since most people aren't really the sharpest tools in the shed, you can come on here and spew bullshit, but if it sounds good and it sounds right, people are going to follow that and just take your word for it. That's pretty much what he's saying. Even though your word may be the furthest thing from a valid source.
Trying to explain modern America to the founding fathers. Yeah. We built a constitutional republic based on reason and Enlightenment ideals. And then, 250 years later, half the country thinks the moon landing was faked by gay Satanists.
Jesus. Fudge, man.
And here's the thing. It's bipartisan. Both sides of the aisle have their own brands of boneheadedness. One side thinks we can shoot hurricanes.
And really what it is just like, so they can have the people divided, arguing over, oh, you think you can shoot hurricanes, blah, 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 blah. Well, we can shoot fucking missiles into the sky and they just go poof. I'm just making some shit up, but really just to distract the general populace from what's really going on, which is the powers thereof. Fucking Geppetto playing motherfuckers like strings, and people don't even fucking realize it because they're too busy blaming their fucking neighbor who's a fucking conservative and they're a liberal and arguing as to why their belief of conservatism or liberalism is correct over, so I understand what he's getting at. We're going to skip ahead a little bit just because I feel like I'm losing you guys.
They love this. Stupid people are the best customers.
1,000%.
I mean, you can't sell critical thinkers $90 essential oils or convince them to buy a $1,500 smartphone that bends itself in half if you look at it wrong. But you can sell the willfully stupid just about anything. A subscription box for dirt? Done. A $600 candle that smells like Gwyneth Paltrow's bathroom? Sign them up. Alright, so maybe you're thinking, yikes, this sounds bleak. And is there any hope? Honestly, yeah. A little. But you gotta squint to see it. There's still people out there reading real books, asking real questions, educating themselves authentically or experientially, quietly holding on to that flickering flame of curiosity, while the rest of the world tries to smother it over the top with insane gender reveal parties and edible glitter. I think being smart and not being afraid to show it means living with discomfort. It's difficult. It means being willing and able to admit when you're wrong. And it means being okay with complexity, contradiction, and uncertainty. So the good news, I think smart survives. It's stubborn. It's not loud, it's not flashy, but it's resilient. Like a cockroach with a PhD. And the thing about stupidity is that eventually it bumps into the hard wall of reality. When the bridges collapse and the crops fail, when the Amazon package doesn't show up because the supply chain finally imploded, suddenly people start looking around and going, hey, does anybody know how to fix things? Build things? And the guy who spent the last 20 years reading books and educating himself instead of screaming at his phone, yeah, he's the one holding the duct tape. It won't be sexy, and it won't be immediate, but intelligence isn't dead. It's just hungover. And sooner or later, we're going to need it to crawl out of bed, drink some black coffee, and start fixing the mess. So, at the end of the day, stupidity will always be popular, at least in the US. But intelligence, real, patient, compassionate intelligence, is what keeps the lights on.
It's just, competency is always going to be what pushes the needle and keeps us humans fucking still here. So, case in point, right?
Hey, that goes for emotional intelligence too, which is every bit as important. So if you're still here, still critically thinking,
which should be like, if you're on my channel, it should be like 90% of you should still be here. But at the end of the day, let's be real. That's kind of unrealistic for me to think that. Probably more like 10% of you guys, if we're lucky, that still made it this far. All right. The fun part. So, Sal Willis 3529. Not only is stupidity being celebrated, cruelty is being rewarded. The internet promised to make us all more intelligent. Instead, it made the dumbest of us infinitely more confident. 100%. I'm not a conspiracist, but I think this deliberate stupidity is by design. All by design, baby. I'm sure I'm not the only one thinking of Carlin right now, excuse me. They don't want an educated populace capable of critical thought. Of course not, right? Sitting around the kitchen table realizing how badly they're getting fucked. Since they wanted to bleep it, I didn't. This may be why so many people identify as lonely, as finding an intelligent conversation is hard. 1000%, man. It just goes without saying. It's not just stupidity, it's malice too, unfortunately. Funny how using clear grammar, articulate language, and basic critical thinking online is enough to trigger hostility. Mediocrity really hates a mirror. 100%. 100%. You can beat 40 scholars with one fact, but you can't beat an idiot with 40 facts. Yeah, arguing with an idiot, good luck. As a 62-year-old, I've been witnessing the decline of society, and I'm stunned, baffled, amazed, sickened. Each year I grow older, I want to withdraw more and enjoy my own little world. We've reached a point at which parody is nearly impossible because real life is more absurd than than anything comedians can write. Unfortunately, that shit is some real shit. I'm an American who's currently earning a PhD in history. I've lived in 3 different countries other than the US, and I've traveled to a few more. While it's certainly true that stupidity can be found anywhere, I have to say I've never found it anywhere else. The lack of curiosity about the world or pride and ignorance that I found in my own country. Sheesh. Freedom is confused with freedom from consequences. That hits hard. I haven't had an intelligent conversation in years. In today's world, silence and books are better than any other media. The noise from stupidity is deafening. Well, fuck, man. I don't really think things are going to get too much better in that regard. So, I mean, all we can really do is just be stupid with the rest of the stupids, or just be losers and loners for being capable of critical thought and basic reasoning.